Michael Wilbon has been watching the NBA for decades. He's got a great perspective. He joins us on SportsCenter tonight. Okay, bottom line, I think we've seen this from the Raptors before. I asked Doris this. I'm going to ask you this. Why does this team look any different to you when it comes to finally fulfilling the potential so many think they have?
Well, if you just look at that fourth quarter, Zuban, where DeMar DeRozan was off the court. I mean, he didn't come back in the game until about 3 minutes left. I think it was 3:20 left in the fourth quarter. Toronto was simply not as dependent. One of the things they knew they had to do in the offseason, we talked about Masai Ujiri, we talked about Dwane Casey understanding they needed to be less dependent. They need their guards to be dynamic, and certainly Kyle Lowry was that tonight, but they need to be less dependent on those guys. And in the fourth quarter, they weren't dependent, while the Wizards, on the other hand, without Otto Porter out there, they needed desperately a third big scorer. You know, Wall and Beal had 55 points, but the Wizards were so dependent on them. They just didn't get the kind of contributions elsewhere they needed to in this game. At home, you thought they would. Again, Otto Porter's absence, I know he's not always involved as much when Wall and Beal get going, but this particular night, they needed him. They need somebody, 12, 15 more points. They didn't have it. And you could just see the way the Wizards struggled to score down the stretch.
No question. If you're just joining our post-game coverage, Porter is done. Essentially, his season's done, as are the Wizards. He had a lower left leg injury, and that obviously precluded him from being out there tonight. When we were showing the highlights, I think I said something a lot of fans feel. The Celtics don't have Hayward. They don't have Kyrie. LeBron literally can't do it by himself, although maybe he will later tonight. We'll wait to see. So if the Raptors were ever going to get it done, top seed, home court, their two rivals weakened as much as we've seen in years. Is it now or never for Toronto?
Well, I don't know about never, but it's certainly wide open, Zubin. When you look at the Eastern Conference, you mentioned, obviously the injuries, to the Celtics. But listen, Philadelphia, anybody from Philly sitting there saying, what? What? Whose year? Wide open? Why is it wide open? Right now, the 76ers have played better than anyone in the Eastern Conference so far in this first round of the playoffs. We're going to wait, obviously, to see what happens. Very much could be a Game 7, in Cleveland on Sunday. But when you look at Toronto's chances now, again, being less dependent, having a more diversified attack, but still, Lowry and DeRozan lead the way with this team, but finding ways to win, having perhaps the best bench in the East, certainly of the playoff teams. These are places where the Toronto Raptors look to get better, throughout the season. Starting last offseason, they have. And, it'd be interesting to see if that series was to take place. But, Boston and Philly are going to have something to say about that. And, of course, the winner of Cleveland, Indiana, whenever that's resolved, and it looks like Sunday.
No question. It does look like Sunday. It's on ESPN right now. The Pacers are up by 20. It certainly looks like for the first time in the first round, LeBron is going to be pushed to a Game 7. We'll discuss that with you over the weekend. Hey, we're going to hear from Dwane Casey here in a moment, and that's where I want to go with you before I let you go tonight in the nation's capital, your home. We know about Danny Ainge, and we know about Ty Lue, and we know about Brad Stevens. We talk about him all the time. But I don't think a lot of people know much about Dwane Casey, and you mentioned Masai Ujiri, the brain trust that has put the Raptors together. What do fans need to know about the muscle behind this organization?
Well, it's interesting. We talk about patience in all sports, and people don't have it. Owners don't have it. Fan bases don't have it. Sometimes executives don't have it. But, they could have decided to blow this whole thing up because of recent, hate to use the word failures, but not being able to get through Cleveland and LeBron essentially, or Miami and LeBron previously. They couldn't get through that. They could have blown it up, and they didn't. And they said, okay, we can tinker here, keep our basic formula together. We believe in our coach. We've seen some of that in Philadelphia as well with Brett Brown, obviously. So often a new coach is brought in as if that's going to be the answer to get a team, finally from, 7 to 9. Can you work your way up to that championship position? And Toronto thinks they can do it with largely the formula they've had with tinkering. So we're going to find out. This is going to be an interesting case. Dwane Casey, I do have a vote for Coach of the Year, the regular season awards, and it was difficult. You mentioned Brad Stevens. There's so many coaches, coaches from Portland to Philadelphia, who in the regular season could be seriously considered for Coach of the Year. I cast mine for Dwane Casey. And and also, let's not forget Utah. I mentioned places along the way where guys could be considered for Coach of the Year. Dwane Casey, it's a real balancing act when you got a big city, large market fan base that wants to win and is disappointed with not winning, and you stick with that coach. That's a credit to the executives, to the front office of the Toronto Raptors, as is trying to figure out the points they could sort of tinker with this team while keeping the basic formula together. So it's worked out pretty well, but listen, there's a whole lot of basketball left to play. We're just talking about the end of the first round.
No question. They are hoping for their first NBA Finals appearance in franchise history. That's our Michael Wilbon, providing the perspective only he can after the Wizards season has once again come to a premature